Okay, so what we have done in the last few classes is today I think is the 33rd class. Uh, we have finished with PHP functions, and one chapter on PHP we have finished, in which we have learned introduction to server-side scripting, uh, what is PHP, and then what are the alternatives to PHP, how to install VAMP, how to run PHP code, and then we learned PHP as a programming language. We learned how to declare variables, and then how to write the conditional statements, the control flow of the program and everything. And then in between, I explained to you people the term works from term work number 1 to term work number 6. And then 2 days back, when some students had come to the college, then I explained term work number 7, 8, 9. And then yesterday we did term work number 10. And then all the students are also executing the programs in their laptops, and they're showing it, and the compressor is marking everybody's, because we have to evaluate you for your IAs. And the evaluation will be basically done based on how many programs you have executed. Okay, so execution of the programs is important. You have to execute that in your laptops and show it to Kamleser. So today's class, I'm going to start with a new chapter, that is chapter number 9. We are still in PHP. We are learning PHP. If I go and tell you about the syllabus, we have completed the first module. Second module also we have completed half. I did not go to advanced CSS, still micro formats. And then we did chapter number, module number 3, in which we studied JavaScript. Then we did module number 4, in which we did, we're going to start with module number 4 now. Introduction to PHP is already there in module number 3. Module number 4 is about PHP arrays, super global arrays, the get and post super global arrays. Then we will be learning with how to handle files in PHP. All that, and then it is also it ends with exception handling in PHP. So module number 4 is completely based on PHP and advanced features of PHP. Okay, so we are going to start with arrays now, PHP arrays and super global arrays, in which we're going to learn exactly what is the meaning of an array. Array, we already know. Array are it is a collection of elements. And then if you want to access elements of an array, we have to use an index, all that. Okay. Now remember, there are different types of arrays that we have. Arrays in which we can access the elements of the arrays using integer index. If I want to access the first element of the array, then I use the index 0. If I want to use the second element of the array, I use index 1. If I want to use access the third element of the array, I use index 2, and so on. It always starts with index 0. First element of the array can be accessed at index 0. You have to remember that. Okay, now these indexes 1, 2, 3, 4 are called as keys, and the elements, the actual elements of the array, are called as the values. Okay, just remember that. Now we have to see exactly in PHP how to declare arrays. Okay, if I want to declare an empty array in PHP, I simply make use of the dollar symbol followed by some name. Dollar symbol followed by some name is equals to array is a constructor. It's a keyword, ARRAY, and then you have to open and close. Now this particular statement here declares an array. This particular statement here declares an array called as $days. Days is an array, and it is an empty array. Right now there is nothing in the array. It is an empty array. Okay, so that is how we declare arrays which are empty. Now if we want to declare an array which contains some elements in it, then we declare it like this. This is the name of the array, is equals to array, and then the constructor of this array keyword, we pass the elements that you want to store it in that array. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are the elements of $days now, are elements of $days. Now the array is not empty. It contains 5 elements in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It contains 5 elements in it. This is one way of doing it. The other alternate syntax of declaring an array with elements is $days is equals to open the square brackets and write down all the elements by separating them with a comma in between. So this is how we declare arrays. These are the two different syntaxes of declaring arrays in PHP. It is important in the examination. You can expect a question like this. They will ask you which are the different ways of declaring arrays in PHP. So they may ask you this for 2 marks, 3 marks, or maybe even 4 marks. They will ask you this. With the help of an example, explain how arrays are declared in PHP. So you have to write both these syntaxes. Okay. Um Now, if you want to access elements of the array, for example, you want to access the first element of the array, you have to write the name of the array and then square bracket, write down the index. If you want to access Tuesday, then you write $days of 1. So it will display the second element of the array. It will display the second element of the array. Okay, so we have learned how to declare arrays and we have learned how to access elements of the arrays. We have learned how to access elements of the arrays. Okay. Uh, Now, I can also declare an empty array like this, and then I can add elements to an array. Okay, instead of putting elements into the array when it is defined, I can declare an empty array. $days is equals to array. So you know that $days will be an empty array now. And if I want to put elements into the array, I can always do this. Days of 0 is Monday, days of 1 is equals to Tuesday, days of 2 is equals to Wednesday, and so on. So I can add elements to the array even later on also. Alternate approach to storing elements into the array is like this. I declare one more array called as days b is equals to array. This is an empty array. And then days b, nothing you put here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you put separately. So automatically Monday will be put as the first element, Tuesday will be put as the second element, and Wednesday will be put as the third element. Okay, so these are the different ways of declaring arrays and initializing them with elements. Now let us, without wasting time, let us go further and try to understand. Um Here, we can also assign keys to an array like this. We can explicitly assign keys to an array. We can declare an array like this, $days is equals to array. And then the constructor of this array here, I can say key is 0, then I use the equals to sign, greater than sign, and then I write the value, then 1, Tuesday, 2 is Wednesday, 3. So I can explicitly assign keys to array elements. I'm telling explicitly that the first element of the array, the key is 0. Second, the key is 1. Third, 2. A fourth element, the key is 3, and so on. So I can explicitly assign keys to arrays like this. So this is another technique of declaring arrays in PHP. Why are we learning all these techniques is because we should know the different ways of declaring arrays in PHP, how to declare an empty array, then how to add elements to it, how to declare and initialize elements to an array in the same line. Also, we have studied how to declare and initialize in the same line. That also we have studied. And then declaring an empty array and adding any elements to it also we have learned. Now, this is one way where we explicitly assign keys to an array element. If these are the values, Monday, Tuesday are values. If you want to say that Monday can be accessed at key 0, then you can write 0 here. If you want to start from, let us say, some other thing here, you can also have your own key to access this element. Okay, so this is explicitly assigning keys to array elements. Now look at this. What I was trying to say is I declare a array called as forecast is equals to array. Now the key is Monday equals to greater than 40. So this is the value 40 now. So if I want to access, let us say 47, then I use forecast of Tuesday. Forecast of Tuesday will give me like this here. Forecast of Tuesday, because Tuesday is now the key. Forecast of Tuesday will display 47 because that is the value that this key is holding. The value is 47 and the key is Tuesday. So forecast of Tuesday displays me 47. Similarly, forecast of THU, Thursday, here displays me 40. You can see here. Okay. So remember that you can also have your own keys assigned to an array instead of having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also assign your own keys to an array in PHP. About multi-dimensional array, you know what is the meaning of a multi-dimensional array? A multi-dimensional array is a two-dimensional array. You have three-dimensional arrays. These are matrices basically. We know this is a matrix. So if I want to declare a multi-dimensional array, I do it like this. So I have month like this. $month is the name of my matrix is equals to array. Then I start, and then each element of the array is another array. You can see that each element of the array, this is one element of the array, and this itself is an array. This itself is an array. So this is the first element, then this is the second element, which itself is an array, third element, which again itself is an array, and the last element, which again is an array. So now this defines a two-dimensional array. For example, if I say $month 03, so 0 is this element and 3 0 1 2 3, so it will display me a Thursday. So you can see that it displays me Thursday here. If I say $month of 0 comma 3, 0 is the first element of the array, and which is the third element in that array? 0 1 2 3. So Thursday, THU will be displayed here. So this is how we access uh, element of multi-dimensional array. $month square bracket the first and the second. So you need two coordinates to access elements of a two-dimensional array. So you have a similar example here where the indexes are not 0, 1, 2, 3. Here the indexes are defined indexes. ID is one index, ID is another index, one more index is there called as ID, then you have title, and then you have quantity and so on. So it's not necessary that two-dimensional arrays should have 0, 1, 2 indexes like that. You can also define your own indexes for the arrays like this. For example, if I say $car2 and title, see, look at the first index, it is an integer, and the second index is a string title. So if I say car2 comma title, which will it be? This is the first 0 1 2. So this is the second, this 2 is this one, and in that title, so this is title, so it will display you starry night. So you can say it outputs you starry nights. Okay, so this is another example. Now iterating through an array, how do we iterate through an array? We can either take loops to do that. You can see that I have an array here called as month. It's a two-dimensional array. And how do we iterate through an array? We make use of either the while loop. For example, I declare a variable here called as I initialize it to 0. And then while I is less than count of $days. Okay, let us say if I have an array called as days here, which is on the top. Okay, I have an array called as days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday. Okay, so $days is an array which contains 5 elements in it. If I say count of $days, remember in other programming languages, if I want to know what is the length of an array, I use the length property, array.length or len. Okay, something like that property will be there which will give me the length of the array. But here in PHP, if you want to know what is the size of the array, then you make use of count function. Count into bracket, you have to pass the array. It will give you how many elements are there in $days array. So I take a loop here. I initialize the variable 0. So I take while I is less than the count of days, means the length of the array, then echo days of $I. In the first iteration of the loop, the value of $I will be 0. Then I increment the value of I, it will become 1, and then it will be displaying the value of elements of the array, plus it will also be checking this condition. So this particular loop from here to here will help you to iterate through all the elements of the array. This particular loop here will help you to iterate through all the elements of the array. This is how we do it using the while loop. If you want to use the do while loop, same thing. The only thing is that the while condition will be after the do. So do while, you know in PHP how it works. First you write the do, open the flower bracket, write the body of the loop, and then you write while, and then you write the condition. So this is how you iterate through elements of the array using the while loop. This is how you iterate through the elements of the array using the do while loop. And if I want to use a for loop to iterate through the elements of the array, then I take $I is equals to 0 till $I is less than count of $days. You know what is count of $days? It will give you the length of the array, and $I plus plus. It will increment the value of I every time by 1, and then echo $days of $I. So every time the value of I, first time the value of I will be 0, second time it will be 1, then it will be 2, and every time it is displaying you the elements of the array till all the elements of the array are over. So what you have learned in this is how to iterate through the elements of the array using the while loop, do while loop, and the for loop. Then there is the for each loop. In Java, you know that we have something called as a for each loop. The for each loop is a very useful, it's a very useful loop in which we can access elements of the array without you having to without having to using an index like $I. In the previous example, we have used $I in while loop, do while loop, and the for loop. But here in for each loop, we don't need a index. What we do is we write it like this. For example, let us say I have a array called as $forecast. So I can simply write it like this. For each $forecast as $value. Okay, and then it will iterate through all the elements of the array till all the elements of the array are over. It will iterate, and in each iteration of the loop, the value of $value will be the element of the array. So if $forecast is the array and it contains values like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, in the first iteration of the loop, $value will be Monday. In the second iteration of the loop, the value of $value will be Tuesday, so on till the value is $Friday, and then it stops the loop. So we have a dollar for each loop, which will iterate through all the elements of the array. Okay, so this is how we can also iterate using the for each loop. Similarly, if you want to iterate through all the elements of the array and you want to access both the key as well as the value, let us say you want to access both the key and the value, then you can use it like this. For each $forecast as $forecast, by the way, is what is the name of the array. For each $forecast as $key equals to greater than sign and then $value. Now $key will be the variable in the body of the loop which will contain the key of the element, and $value will be the value of that element. So in the first iteration of the loop, $key will be the first key, $value will be the first value. Second iteration of the loop, $key will be the second element, second key of the element, key of the second element, and $value will be the value of the second element. So the for each loop can be used to access both the key and the value. It can be used to access both the key and the value. So what we are learning is we are learning how to iterate through an array. We are learning how to iterate through an array. We can use the while loop for doing it, the simplest one, then the do while loop, a little change in the syntax, the for loop, or the for each loop we can use, or you can use a for each loop to access both the key and the value. Okay, so iterating of the loops is. Now let us see how to add and delete elements from an array. Okay, in PHP, arrays are dynamic. That is, they can grow or they can shrink. One thing to remember here in PHP is that arrays, you can increase the size of an array by adding elements to it dynamically, and you can also delete elements from an array dynamically, no problem. Okay, so if I want to add an element to the array, it's very simple. I simply do $date of 5 is equals to Saturday. If I want to add one more element to the array, I simply do $days of 5 is equals to Saturday. I can add a new element to the array directly, no problem. No problem. Okay. If you want to add, you see, you know that $days is $days is an array containing 5 elements starting from index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There were already 5 elements in the array $days. Now you know that at index 5 there is no element. At index 5 you know that there is no element. So you do $days of 5 is equals to Saturday. So 0 to 4 were already there. Indexes were there already, 0 to 4 in $days array. 0 to 4 means 5 elements were already there. Now new element has to be added at the last. So you do what? $days of 5 is equals to Saturday. You know that the next index which is not present in the array is 5. So you added $days of 5 is equals to Saturday. What if you don't know the index, which is the new index that has to be added to the array? If you don't know, if you don't remember the index at which there is no element, then you can simply use this syntax. You can write $days, put a space in between, and then assign a value. Now automatically this particular syntax here will add Sunday as the last element of the array. How much is there in that array, that will remain, and the next element of the array will be directly Sunday. Next value will be Sunday, and it will be automatically added to the array. So you don't have to even write an index there, because sometimes you may remember which is the index at which we have to add, and sometimes you may not. So that's why this is a technique which you can use. $days, you can write a space here in between and then assign it some value. Automatically this value, this element will be added at the last of the array. This will be the last element of the array. What is the advantage of this particular technique? The advantage of this approach is that we don't have to worry about skipping an index key. Uh, we don't have to worry about skipping an index key. PHP is more than happy to let you skip an index as shown in the following. For example, let us say you have an array like this. Yeah, here it is clear. $days is an array already containing 5 elements. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 5 elements are there, which means index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I write $days of 7 is equals to Saturday, $days of 7 is equals to Saturday, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, we have skipped 5 and 6, and directly days of 7 we have put as Saturday. So 5 and 6 we have skipped. 5 and 6 we have skipped. But we don't have to worry about that. You may think that it will give an error, or it will say that there are no elements at index 5 or 6. We don't have to worry about that. Now remember, the condition of your array will be like this. At 0, what we have? Monday. At 1, Tuesday. 2, Wednesday. 3, Thursday. 4, Friday. And 7 will be Saturday. There will be no element at 5 and 6. There will be no element at 5 and 6. There will be no element at 5 and 6. Please remember that. Yeah. Then if we try to access arrays of 5, the name of the array is $days. If I try to access the 5th element, that is the element present at index 5, which is actually not here, if I say display $day of 6, 6 is not present here, it will display you a null value. Okay. So like this, I can add elements to the array dynamically, no problem. And if I want to remove some element from the array, if I want to delete some element from the array, then I have to use the unset function. I have $days array contains Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If I say unset $days of 2, 2 means which element it will remove? 0, 1, 2. Wednesday it will remove. And unset $days of 3, it will remove the element present at the 3rd index, 0, 1, 2, 3, Thursday. So Wednesday and Thursday it will delete from the array. Now if I display the array, it will contain only 3 elements. Okay. At index 0 will be Monday, at index 1 it will be Tuesday, at index 4 it will be Friday. So the elements at index 2 and 3 will be deleted, that is Wednesday and Thursday. So which function we have to use to delete element from the array? We have to use the unset function. Unset $days of 2. It will remove that element from the array. Now, just like strings, strings and all that, in PHP we have built-in functions that are associated with arrays. We can make use of these built-in functions to check if there is a particular value present in the array, or if I want to sort the array, I can sort the array. All these type of built-in functions are available in PHP, which we can apply on arrays and we can find out. Now, what we are learning is checking if a value exists in an array. Okay, how do we do it? Let us say I have an array called as odd keys, and then it's an array. It starts with an index 1. The first value is hello. Second 3. The index of the second element is 3, and the value is world, and the index of third element is 5, and the value is exclamation. So hello world exclamation. These are 3 words that are there in my array. So if I want to know if there is any element present at index 0, okay, I told you that some indexes of an array can be kept null without assigning it any value. If I want to know whether there is a value present at that index or no, then I can use the isSet function. The is set function will return you a boolean value, true or a false, and then it will return you a true if there is if there is an element present at that index. It will return you a false if there is no element present at that index. So for example, you can see here, what is the name of my array? Odd keys. And how many elements are there? 1, 2, and 3. And they are present at what index? Hello is present at index 1. So remember, there is no index 0. Index 0 is not there. Index 3 is there. Index 2 is not there. Index 5 is there. Index 4 is not there. So you can see that I have 3 elements and they are present at index 1, 3, and 5. So now if I check, is set odd keys of 0. Is there an element at index 0? No, it is not there. So the is set function will return a false. Will return a false. Okay. So the is set function is used to check if a particular element is present in an array or no. Okay. So remember, the is set function is used to check if a particular element is present in the array or no. So this first condition definitely will return you a false because there is no element present at index 0. Then again check this. Is set dollar keys of 1? Is there an element at index 1? Yeah, it is there. Hello is there. So it will display you there is something set for key 1, namely dollar keys of 1. Okay. So the is set function is used to check if a particular element is present in an array or not. The next, if I want to sort an array, which function do I use? I use the sort function. The sort function, as the name suggests, is used for sorting the elements of the array. Okay, you can see one example here. You have to simply use it like this: sort $days. Just pass that array as the parameter. It will sort this array and it will return it to you. Okay, and then you have something called as asort. What is asort? Asort is sort in ascending order. Okay, asort is one second. The sort method will sort with respect to the values. Remember, it will sort with respect to the values because if I have an array and the values are Friday, Monday, Saturday, like this. Okay. Now, if I use the sort method, it will sort the elements of the array, the values of the array. But there are keys also. There are keys also. No, 0, 1, 2, 3 keys also are there, and these keys are, of course, index are integers. But I told you that arrays in PHP can have keys which are not always integers, but they can also be strings. These keys can be strings, like you saw in the previous example, Monday, Tuesday, where keys in one of the examples. So if I want to sort my array based on keys, then I have to make use of the asort method. However, such a sort loses the association between the values and the keys. A better sort, one that would have kept keys and values associated together, is asort. Okay. Now, remember, if you want to sort the array based on keys and values, then you make use of the asort method. If you want to sort the array only based on values, then you use the sort method. You can see here, to sort the days array by its values, you would simply use sort $days. And the resulting string will be what? The resulting string will be like this: Friday, Monday, Saturday. So if we look at this, these are sorted alphabetically. F comes first, M comes next, then comes S, S like this, then comes T, T, and then W. So you know that these are alphabetically arranged. So the sorting happens alphabetically. Based on values, values are sorted. But if you want to sort keeping values and keys both in mind, then you make use of the asort method. Asort method is used. Let us look at more array functions. Array keys is a method which is used to access the index of an array or to retrieve, we use it to retrieve the keys of an array. array keys. We use array keys to access all the keys of an array. So for example, if I have $days, if I have $days, and if you want to access all the indexes, I want to access all the indexes or the keys of an array, I simply say array keys and then pass that array as the parameter. What I get back is an array only. What I get back is an array only, but it will contain the values of that array will be the keys of the array which I have passed as parameter here. So if I want to access all the keys of an array, I use array keys method. Array values method is another built-in function which is used to access all the values of an array. It is used to access all the values of an array. The array values function returns you another array which will contain only values of the array which is passed as parameter here. Then array random. Array random is a function often in games or widgets you would want to select a random element from the array. This function returns as many random keys as are requested. If you are only want one, the key itself is returned, otherwise an array of keys is returned. Okay, now why do we use the array random function is if you want to randomly access, any element of the array, then we use the array random function. The array random function is used in places where you want to randomly access elements of an array. Normally we use the random function in designing games and all that. So that is where we make use of array random function. But what does this function do? It will randomly select some element of the array and it will give it back to you. So what we are learning is we are learning all the built-in functions of arrays in PHP. Then we have array reverse. From the name itself, you must have assumed that what does this function do? It will reverse the elements of the array. Then you have array walk. This method is extremely powerful. It allows you to call a method for each value in an array. The callback function typically takes two parameters, the first value and the second. An example that simply prints the value of each element in the array is shown below. I have an array here called as sum a, which contains two elements, hello and world. Then array walk function I use, and then I pass this the name of the array as the first parameter, and I pass the name of a function, do print as the second parameter. Now what happens is it will execute do print function how many times? 2 times, because there are two elements of the array. Okay, and the do print will take two parameters, value and key. So in the body of the loop, in the body of the function, every time the function executes, $value will contain the value of the element and $key will contain the key of the element of the array. So array walk is a function which will take two parameters. One is the array and the second is a function name. The function takes two parameters, value and key. What will this array walk function does is it will iterate through all the elements of the array, and every time it iterates through the elements of the array, it executes this function do print. So why this is useful? This particular function is useful to do something with each element of the array. This array walk function is good, and it's a very powerful function. This is a built-in function which will allow you to execute a function with all the elements of the array. Execute this function with all the elements of the array. And this function that you specify here should take two parameters, $value and $key. In the body of this function, $value will contain the value of the element and $key will contain the key of the element. Then we have two more built-in functions here, the in array, okay, and the shuffle function. The shuffle function, maybe it will just shuffle all the elements of the array and so on. So there's nothing much about this. You can just read it once. Now we will stop here today. In the next class, I will start with super global arrays. These super global arrays are those arrays which are built in. There is an array called as $_cookies. There is an array called as $env. There is an array called as $get. There is an array which is called as $post. These are built-in arrays. These are built-in arrays which contains some values already, which you can make use of in your programs. The $_get array contains all the values that you have sent to a PHP program through the query string. The $_post array contains all the data that you have submitted to an PHP file from a form. The $_cookies array is an array which contains all the cookies that you have stored on the client's machine. So like that, there are some built-in super global arrays which are already defined in PHP, which you can make use of to access the cookies, to access the data that is submitted through query string, to access the data that is submitted through the post method of the form, to access server information, to access request information, and to access session information. Okay, so these arrays which are used in PHP to access details are called as super global arrays, and they are already defined. So we are going to learn more about the super global arrays in the next class. So we will stop here today. Okay. Now, please remember, all of you, that everybody has to execute the programs. You have to execute the programs of the term works that I've explained to you. Term work number 1 to 10, all of them have explained in the class. Now, what I want is, I want you people to install WAMP server in your computers. It's a small software. Please install that. And then all the programs are also given to you, so you can